I was online a couple years ago, at like around 1 in the morning, looking up old SpongeBob episodes, as I was a huge fan as a kid, and the new episodes they show on TV are complete shit. So after going through bad quality videos on foreign websites, and other sites flooded with ads, I came upon an unofficial website that had full episodes ad-free. Okay, the quality wasn't great, but better than most of the websites. On the bottom was a link that said, SpongeBob Lost Episode. Being the idiot I am, I clicked on it. I thought it was probably a screamer or something, but I clicked on it anyway. I was bored enough to click on the video and watch it. I totally forgot about looking for old episodes. The episode video had poor quality, and the episode itself was pretty much forgotten by the writers. Like every episode, it started with the theme song. The title card read, Patrick's Leg, with the normal fun-filled bubble letters we all know and love. The first thing that didn't seem right was that after the title card, the transition, instead of bubbles, it was just a blur into the beginning of the episode. It started out like a harmless SpongeBob episode, with SpongeBob and Patrick watching the sunset. But then Patrick decides to go sandboarding, so they do. So far, a pretty normal episode. Patrick then tries to do some sort of trick on his sandboard, but fails. As a result, Patrick falls and breaks his leg, and SpongeBob goes after him to see if he's okay. Also, Patrick screams a more painful scream than he usually would. Enough that I could feel it. Well, I guess that makes sense. He just broke his leg. Nothing that is too far out of the ordinary, right? Well, other than the opening and the music in that one scene, it's going pretty much like any ordinary episode. The next scene takes place at the hospital, where the doctor tells Patrick he needs to be in a wheelchair for a little while. As they walk out, SpongeBob is pushing Patrick in his wheelchair when they run into some girls. The girls start talking to Patrick because of his leg and ask if they can sign his cast as they walk away with Patrick, leaving SpongeBob by himself. So far, it's going like a normal episode. I don't remember what happened throughout the episode, so I'll skip some scenes. This is where it gets creepy. Later that night, SpongeBob knocks at Patrick's door. In this scene, the backgrounds look more realistic than usual. However, I tried to ignore it. When Patrick opens the door, SpongeBob tells Patrick that he forbids him to see those girls ever again. Patrick gets furious, not like he does normally. This is a more realistic anger, and he tells SpongeBob that he hates him. The girls leave in fear. This is when I started to feel funny about this episode. SpongeBob then screams, in an unusually deep voice, something like,
Oh yeah? Well, as long as you hate me, I can do this!
and then starts beating Patrick's broken leg violently with a rock. After that, the screen goes to static for a fraction of a second, and cuts to a scene where SpongeBob and Patrick are apologizing for something during the daytime. Except the lining of the animation and the voices don't match up. The animation in this scene is very poor, as if it was a loop, and it goes on for a good 4 or 5 minutes. I was very creeped out, but I wanted to see how it ended. The screen goes black for a minute or two, and then cuts to a scene from another episode, where Patrick has Jeffrey Jellyfish in a wagon, and says, "Come on, Jeffrey," and the screen goes black again. This time for only about 30 seconds, and cuts to a CG animation of Patrick cutting SpongeBob's stomach open with a piece of broken coral, with realistic blood gushing out. while looking at the screen with bloodshot, dilated eyes. His mouth doesn't move, but you can faintly hear him say, "I knew this day would come," with an echoey voice. You can also hear SpongeBob laughing for some reason. The scene goes on for another 3 minutes, but nothing is heard but static, which gets louder and louder, until it's unbearably loud. Then the normal credits come on, but with a very faint image of the last scene still showing. My God, that image will be burned in my mind forever. The United Plankton logo isn't shown like usual. After the video was over, it froze, so I had to reload the page, but it wasn't available. I couldn't even find the website anymore. Even when I looked up Patrick's leg, nothing came up. I understand if you don't believe me, but I know what I saw. Even if it was 1 in the morning. What the hell was I even doing online at that time? And that was Patrick's Leg, written by Natethedeurwaerder. Review time. Trash story. I did not like this. I really didn't. See, the idea that it was going for with Patrick breaking his leg and having to be taken care of by SpongeBob does come off as a pretty interesting, intriguing idea at first. I feel like that can be workshopped into something good, something sensible. But no, after the main plot point is presented, we rapidly delve into a cliched trope fest full of characters acting out of left field, a very incoherent narrative near the end, and just a lot of flaws, bad things about this in general. This isn't good. For starters, how does the protagonist know for a fact that this was created, like this was written by people who worked on SpongeBob? How does he know for a fact that the writers worked on this? He just mentions in the beginning that this was forgotten by the writers. Okay, you're not going to elaborate on how you know that? Like, did you work with the writers? Do you know one of the writers? Like, was this documented somewhere? You never elaborate on it. It's just mentioned, and then it's never mentioned again. Then we get to the main plot point. The Patrick breaks his leg, the standard stuff. And then it devolves into this really poor motivation for why SpongeBob does what he does. SpongeBob ultimately smashes a rock into Patrick's broken leg because he got more attention from women. That's the motivation. That is the sole reason why he does what he does. Because Patrick got attention. It's mind-numbingly quixotic. It doesn't make any sense. It happens right away. SpongeBob breaks character so fast. And he acts like his dad, too, for some reason. Like, it's kind of cringeworthy. You're forbidden to see those ladies ever again. Like, SpongeBob wouldn't act like that. Come on. And then it cuts to them apologizing because, yes, an apology will fix everything. Then a 2-minute black screen. Who is going to sit through 2 minutes of a black screen? Name one person who would do that. Name one. Exactly. I didn't think so. Then SpongeBob is getting stabbed with coral by Patrick, who, weirdly enough, is standing in this picture. He magically, his leg magically healed, and he stood back up just to stab SpongeBob. Because that makes sense. That's sensible. I totally get that. And then this lasts for 3 minutes, and then it ends. It just ends. Yeah, I don't like this story. It's cliched to hell and back. It doesn't make any sense. The story at the end just becomes all of this random nonsense that gets chucked at a dartboard for whatever reason, other than trying to pad out the story into some sort of finished length. I didn't like this. My final rating is a 2 out of 10. With that being said, this is simply my personal opinion. We all have our opinions regarding these pastas. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. I came across this story when listening to narrations on YouTube. And let me tell you, some of them gave it quite the high rating. And again, this is my own personal opinion. If you have a different opinion, that's totally fine. But I did not understand what made this story as good as people thought it was. So, yeah, that's the reason why I rewrote this into What You Deserve. The story that I posted, that I co-wrote with that anonymous user. Thank you, Anonymous, for giving me ideas on how to fix the first draft. I really didn't like how the original ending went out. But back to what I was saying. We all have our opinions regarding these pastas. What did you think of the pasta? What would you have done to improve upon it? And as always, I will see you all in the next narration. I love you all. Bless.